Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can play Heart of Gold by Neil Young. And it's going to start on an E minor chord. And the way you play E minor, first finger is going to go to the A string on the second fret. Second finger is going to go to the D string on the second fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds like E minor chord, and it sounds really, really sad. And on our intro, we're going to kind of start on the E minor, and then we're going to be going to a D major chord. And the way you play D major, first finger is going to go to the G string on the second fret. Second finger is going to go to the high E on the second fret. And the third finger is going to go to the B string on the third fret. And if you strum just D, G, B, and E, kind of the skinny four strings, then I'll get you a clear sound with that. And that's called D major. And then from the D major, we're going to be going back to the E minor. And then we kind of repeat that. We got D major, E minor. And then we kind of go into part of what's going to become the verse later on, where we got an E minor. And then we go to a C major chord. And the way you play C major, first finger is going to go to the B string on the first fret. Second finger is going to go to the D string on the second fret. And third finger is going to go to the A string on the third fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a C major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And then from the C major chord, we're going to be going to the D major chord. And then we're going to go to a G major chord. And the way you play G major, first finger is going to go to the A string on the second fret. Second finger is going to go low E on the third fret. And the third finger is going to go to the high E on the third fret. And if you kind of strum all those together, then that sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And then that part kind of repeats. We got E minor, C major, D major, G major, E minor, C major, D major, G major. And then we kind of hit a little bit of the first part. We got E minor, D major, E minor. But a lot of times with a song like this, to make it more interesting, I like adding something called a strum pattern. And one of my favorite 4/4 strum patterns is down, down, up, up, down, up. So we just took the E minor and just tried that a lot. We have down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. The weird thing is a lot of these chords through our intro and also through our verse are going to do kind of a halving thing, where instead of doing the whole strum pattern, we're just going to do a down, down, up on each of them. So we kind of start out with the E minor with the whole strum pattern, down, down, up, down, up. But then we go to D for just down, down, up, and then go to E minor, down, down, up, and then we kind of start that over again. So we got E minor, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, E minor, down, down, up. And then we go to that part that's like our verse, and almost everything halves. So we got E minor, down, up, C, down, D, down, down, G, down, down, E minor, down, down, C, down, down, D, down, down, G, down, down, E minor, down, down, C, down, down, D, down, down, G, down, down. And then we're kind of back to our intro part. We got the E minor, down, up, down, D, down, down, E minor, down, down, up. And then from there we start our verses. And that's a lot of that same halving thing, where we're doing the E minor, down, C, down, down, D, down, down, G, down, down, E minor, down, down, C, down, down, D, down, down, G, down, down, E minor, down, down, C, down, down, D, down, down, G, down, down, up. And then we kind of get to our chorus part, where we do the whole strum pattern on more of the chords. We got E minor, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, up. And then we kind of have a C and a G at the end of our chorus. We got C, down, G, down, down, up. And then we kind of repeat all that. We got E minor, down, down, G, down, 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 C, down, 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 C, down, down, G, down, down, up. And then most of our song is really going to just be repeating those parts. But there's some really cool way that you could kind of use a different strum pattern and it sound a little bit more like Neil Young. And he's kind of working off of something called a 16th note strum pattern instead of an 8th note strum pattern. And what I mean by that is, like, if you were tapping your foot to the beat and you divide it in two parts, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, that's called an 8th note. And the down, down, up is kind of working off of the 8th note. But what a 16th note is if you divided that foot tap into four parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there are actually kind of two patterns that Neil Young's kind of working with. But the first one is kind of a down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up. And what I mean by that is like you take the E minor and we'd be doing a down on 1 and 3 on the first beat. So we'd be going down, down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the second beat, you do it down on 1, down on 3, up on 4. So you'd be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, down, down, up, down, down, up. And then on the third beat, you'd be doing an up on 2 and a down on 3. So you'd be going 1, up, down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the fourth beat, you'd be going down, up, right along with the 1, 2, 3, 4. So down, up, 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 down, up. So on the E minor at the very beginning, it almost sounds like he's kind of doing down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up. And what's really cool is on the very first part on the intro, like Neil Young's kind of using a bass thing instead of the first 2 downs. So he's kind of going bass on the low E string and then doing down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. E minor with a low E bass, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up. And actually, instead of the E minor chord, it almost sounds like he's doing an E minor 7 chord. And the way you play E minor 7, actually, you keep first finger and second finger exactly the same in the E minor. So we got 1 on the A string second, 2 on the D string second, but then we're going to take the third finger or the fourth finger and go to the B string on the 3rd fret, and then just strum all those together. That sounds something called an E minor 7. And on the beginning, it almost feels like he's going bass, down, down, up on the E minor 7, and then doing a down on the E minor. So you got bass, down, down, up, down, and then the down, up, kind of between those chords. So that's a little weird with your intro lick. So you got bass, E minor 7, down, down, up, E minor, down, down, up, and then we kind of go to a D major chord. But the way that Neil kind of does the D major is kind of working off a different 16th note strum pattern. And now he's kind of working off a down, up, down, down, up strum pattern. And what I mean by that is like on the D, you'd be doing a down on 1 and an up on 4. So you'd be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, long down, up. And then we kind of be doing that up, down that we were doing before on the 2 and 3. When we do a up on the D and then go to the E minor for a down, up, down, down, up. So that's a little weird on that 16th note strum pattern. So he's going down, up on the D major. So you got kind of long down, up, and then the up, and then the E minor with a down, and then he's kind of doing the up on what would have been 2 and 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, up, and then the down, up is kind of the same as the other 16th we were talking about, down, up. So all together, you got E minor 7 with the bass, down, up, E minor, down, up, D with the down, up, E minor, down, up, down, E minor 7 and bass, down, up, E minor, down, up, D with the down, up, E minor, down, up, down, up. So that can be kind of tricky. But through the rest of the tune, actually, you can just use half of that strum pattern, that long down, up, to kind of work through a lot of the halving parts that we were talking about. So from the beginning, you've got your intro lick, E minor, down, up, E minor, down, D down, up, E minor, down, up, down, E minor with the bass, down, up, E minor, down, D with the down, up, E minor, down. And then we're just doing long down, up on each of the chords. And this is going to carry over to our verse too. So we got E minor, long down, C down, B down, G down, E minor, long down, C down, B down, G down, E minor, down, C down, B down, G down. Back minor 7 with the bass, bass, down, down, up, E minor, down, down, up, down, G, down, up, E minor, down, up, down, down. And then we'd be starting our verse part. So we got our E minor, down, down, C, down, 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 B, down, 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 G, down, 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 E minor, down, 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 C, down, 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 B, down, 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 G, down, 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 E minor, down, 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 C, down, 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 B, down, 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 G, down, down, down. And then when we get to our chorus part, I like doing that long, or the down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up on each of those chords. So you have the E minor with the down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, G, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, C, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down. And then on the last one, this is kind of weird. He's kind of doing that halving thing that he was doing on the D and E minor in the intro, but between C and G. So you do the C with the down, up, and then go to the G for the down, up, down, up, down, up. C with down, up, G down, up, down, up, C down, up, G down, up, down, up. So just to try that whole chorus all the way through, you got E minor, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, G down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, C down. Carry that bass idea from the intro over to the chorus, that could be a cool idea too. So on the E minor, you could do your basses on the low E for your bass, bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, actually now I'm adding in basses in a different place, but you got bass, bass, down, down, up, low E bass, down, up, low E bass, bass, down, up, low E bass, down, for your E minor. And then we get to your G, you have your low E bass for the G, because that's the lowest note that has the name of that chord. Bass, bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up. And then when you get to your C chord, you'd have your A string for your bass. A bass, down, down. So you got C with the A bass, down, up, A bass, down, up. And then I would still keep that hit the same at the end where you got the C, up, G, up, down, up. So to try that through the whole chorus, you got E minor, bass, bass, down, down, up, E minor with low E bass, down, and G, low E bass, down, up, low E bass, down, C with an A bass, down, up, low A bass, down, C, up, G, up, down, and then we'd basically be repeating those parts. We kind of go into an instrumental part right after that that's basically like our verse. So we got E minor, down, C, down, B, down, G, down, E minor, down, C, down, B, down, G, down, E minor, down, C, down, B, down, But then we end up on a tag to that that's kind of like that intro lick between the E minor and the D, where we'd have E minor 7 with the bass, down, up, E minor, down, up, and then the D with the down, up, E minor, down, up, and then we'd be going back to our verse. So we got our E minor, down, C, down, B, down, B, and then we'd be back on our chorus part, so we could try that with those basses. So we got our bass, down, up, bass, down, G with low E bass, down. You'd have your E minor with the low E bass, and then on the C you'd be doing the A bass, and when you get to your D chord, then you'd have your D string for your bass on the D, and then on the G you'd be back to low E for the bass. So just to try that through your verse part, you got, or the instrumental part that's like your verse, you got E minor with the bass, down, C with an A bass, D with the D bass, G with low E bass, E minor with the So that's the basics of how you could play Heart of Gold by Neil Young. So good luck!